Hello, this is Joey from Two Blokes from Blighty, and today, before we get into the episode, we're going to hear from a very beautiful podcast duo in Josh and Alex from Talking Smack.
Hey Josh, I'm finally ready to do something fun every Wednesday.
Alex, finally, we're going to talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more, right?
Yes, but we're also going to talk Star Trek.
Make it so, my friend. Catch Talking Smack every Wednesday on your podcatcher of choice. We will see you there, smackheads.
I do love that he calls you Smackhead at the end of it. It's a good advert.
I love Josh.
We all love Josh. I hear thunder, but there's no rain. This kind of thunder breaks walls and window panes. Welcome back to Two Blokes from Blighty. I normally say here, I'm joined as ever by my brother, Tim Fitzgerald, but Tim is not here. He's 6,000 miles away. If you're following his Instagram, he's spending a ludicrous amount on mystery box vending machines and getting absolutely fuck all for the pleasure. So I'm joined instead by the most lovely man in all of podcasting. I'm joined by Dan. How are you, Dan?
I'm really excited to be on here. And yeah, I like to think of myself as an honorary brother.
An
of this
honorary
pod.
brother. It's not even honorary at this point. It's just straight up brother. Dan, how are you? Apart from
I'm
excited, of course.
well. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. It's an honour to be asked back on here, and as as a co-host, no less tonight.
Co-host, yeah. There's none of this guest nonsense. Well, you were the first and only guest we've had on Two Blokes from Blighty. That was a long time ago. And I believe what you said before that podcast was that you were worried you'd get yourself cancelled. Are you feeling the same tonight?
I was literally going to say I'm both nervous and excited. That feeling has persisted since you approached me about this. But yeah, I'm going to mark another little notch, as it were. So I won the Weird News in season 1. I've been a guest. I won Joke of the Week, which I don't think I'm going to do this week. Spoiler alert already. But yeah, now co-host. So yeah, but with great responsibility comes great fear.
Rightly so. That's how we like to instill all of our co-hosts. Me and Tim are constantly terrified, whether that be of cancellation or of our own demise. So, Dan, I believe you have been an absolute gentleman and encouraged us to keep our format so our listener, that's it, one, really feels at home here. Are you ready to get into pub quiz question?
Absolutely.
Let me play that jingle.
Pub quiz question of the week. Not a jingle, that's a sound effect at best.
What we have there is a fucking jingle, Tim. Oh, it feels like he's here in the room, doesn't it?
I was going to say, I had a little tear in my eye then because I miss him so much.
So Dan has very kindly, I said that before, like I didn't know the answer. Dan's very kindly messaged me in advance and said, I've got some pub quiz questions for you, Joey. So guess the floor's yours, mate.
Yeah, I didn't know if these were going to be too easy or too difficult. So we'll just go through them and see what happens.
It's a low bar, Dan. It's a constant low bar.
I thought I'd start topical, actually, talking about Tim. I was going to say, what's the national flower of Japan?
The cherry blossom?
1 out of 1. There
Oh,
you go.
get in there.
There
You
you
could
go.
have really turned around and gone 1 out of 1. Wrong.
No, you're 100% so far. Let's go for this one. I've started, before anyone shouts at me, I've started off with a couple of easy ones just to get him in a full sense of security. So, how many stripes are there on the US flag?
50?
Oh, those are stars.
Oh, shit. 26. I'm not American. Why would I know that?
We went 50% of that.
Oh, so that's it. I'm wrong. This is
So
where you said
you,
it was easy, Dan.
you
Oh,
normally
wait,
get
did I
3
got it
goes.
right? Oh,
Yeah, you
wait.
normally get
So
3
did I get
goes.
it right?
No, it's 13, but
Oh, bollocks. Well,
I've given the answer away, so let's do another one.
Piss Up and Brewery. Welcome to Two Blokes from Blighty, Dan. Bit right.
Yeah, I've ruined the show. What's that? 3 minutes. I've got a couple I like. I want to say all of them now. Okay, what is added to a martini to make it a dirty martini?
Mud.
Oh, maybe we should leave that till the end then.
I have no idea. As someone who doesn't drink, I don't know what is it a cloudy martini? Is it
They had
I
a specific something. What do you?
don't know.
No clues. No clues. We'll leave this.
Milk. There you go. There's my guess, Dan.
No.
Oh, you mean I
Reveal
wasn't
the
right?
answer at the end.
We'll reveal the answer at the end. Although I have to tell you, so we're recording this on a Tuesday, so Dan hasn't listened to last week's episode. We forgot to give the answer to the question. So Dan, you're going to know it, and no one else will. The answer to what is the smallest mammal on the planet is some kind of shrew. That's it. That's all I
Some
have for
kind
you.
of tree.
I edited the episode and uploaded it, and I texted him immediately after saying, "Shit, we forgot the answer to the pub quiz question." And he said, "That's what's called a cliffhanger."
You know,
So-
I'm going to look really clever in the Discord tomorrow. Now I'm gonna say I knew
Right.
it straight away.
And then 7 days later, you'll be exposed. Dan, we've got we often, well, we will today as well, move on to a day of the week. So are you ready to choose a day of the week for our listeners?
Yeah, let's go for it.
This is normally where I play the best jingle in all of podcasting history, but I can't do that because it says Tim and Joey talking loud. So I thought I'd bring back an old classic just for you, Dan.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. It's Wednesday, my dudes. It's Wednesday, my dudes. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Watch him Wednesday. Watch him dude. 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 He'd be Wednesday down the street. He'd be Wednesday to the beat. He'd be Wednesday down the street. He'd be Wednesday to the beat. My dudes. It's Wednesday. My dudes. It's Wednesday.
You know what? I'm sitting here laughing because I was driving home from work thinking about you and the podcast as I often do.
Yeah, obviously.
And I thought, you're going to play the new jingle and it's brilliant. But I had in my head, I was going to say straight away to you, I miss that jingle.
Well, don't need to miss it. So Dan likes that jingle so much that he texts me when we stop using it to ask him to send him the MP3. Did I ever do that?
No.
I'll send it to you afterwards. You can enjoy it in your car on the way home on loop, but only on Wednesdays. So Dan, I've got a couple of days for you. I'm going to be real with you. March 5th, it's not the best day for days. We've got Ash Wednesday, the Wednesday before Lent starts. Any feelings on that? No. Okay. National Cheese Doodle Day, which I believe is the American version of What's It.
Okay. I'm liking that one.
Okay, cool. And then National Absinthe Day.
No, let's go for the cheese doodle. I mean, the absinthe could get messy. Yeah, cheese doodle. I mean, who
makes
doesn't
the
love a
heart
what's
grow fonder? That's from Modern Family, which I know you love as well. There's a pepper line. Who doesn't love pepper? So we go for Cheese Doodle Day.
Yeah, well, from now on, March 5th will be known as the Dan on Two Blokes from Blighty Day. But
Well, fuck it. Let's make our own national day. National Dan Day. How do you want people to celebrate Dan Day?
Dan Day. Yeah, maybe I should say.
Listen to Casting Views. That's how you should do it.
Yeah, listen. Actually, that's very good. You're a better marketer for my podcast than I am. I can say what I want on this podcast, right? Because it's not.
Yeah.
No, let's do Cheese Doodle Day, and I think you have them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks. It's
Is that your controversial take that you had to ask if you could say anything?
no. Well, I was thinking, it's not very balanced diet and all that, and stuff like that.
I was waiting for you to say something like "fucking get them up," yeah.
Maybe bath in them, fill your bath up. Paul goes swimming, like Scrooge McDuck at the start of DuckTales.
Yeah. Do you know what I've always thought about that pool full of cash? When
Yeah.
he dives into it, wouldn't it be like diving face first into a concrete floor?
Yeah, but that'd be a very different set of cartoons then, wouldn't it?
Yeah. DuckTales didn't often start with a neck brace and an ambulance, did it? It's far more
Yeah.
family friendly than that.
Let us know where's the strangest place you've eaten a cheese doodle.
Where's the strangest place you've ever eaten or what's it down?
I think we should move on to the next segment.
Before you get doxxed and or incarcerated.
What would you? Which one of those days would you have chosen?
I don't know. To be honest with you, this is why I give it to Tim. I feel too much pressure on choosing the days because Tim likes to set our listeners' homework, and I can almost comfortably say that no one listening to this podcast has ever done most of the things that Tim has asked people to do. So I think I struggle to kind of know where the line is of what you're asked to do versus what you want to do. I think Tim finds it hard to tread that line sometimes. So Dan, we can go a few ways here. This is the true Two Blokes from Blighty experience. You will be charged at the door. Do you want jokes, history, or do you want to talk about the story that you've brought?
No, let's do history because this has always fascinated me, this segment.
Okay, all right, let's do history.
History.
Oh, history. December 24th, a magical day, Christmas Eve. What things do you associate with Christmas?
Christmas. It's probably one of the few times that the year I'll allow myself quite a few drinks.
Okay.
Big meal, obviously presents, giving, lightly James Bond on TV, sad storyline in EastEnders.
Okay. And so you started there with quite a few drinks, which is pertinent to this story. If you were to think about classic Christmas drinks, you might not have to like them. You might not even needed to have tried them. What would you say?
Classic Christmas drinks. Well, the one for me is Bailey's, but most people will like that.
Okay. An American one, very American centric here. Eggnog. Have you tried eggnog?
I've always wanted to try that. I've never had it.
Yeah. Sounds disgusting.
It sounds it, but at the same time, also quite fascinated by it.
Are you? You're a braver man than me. Far more exotic than I am. I've got a story for you about eggnog on Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve, 1826, in the US Military Academy, West Point, New York. Have you heard of the eggnog riot of 1826?
Safely say I haven't.
Okay, strap in. This is fun. So, I'm going to give you a quick timeline. It's only like a day or two, this timeline. So, it's not like one of Tim's where last week we had one that spanned 30 years. This one spans about 13 hours. So, it's quick, snappy, and delightful from start to finish. So, in the evening of December 24th, 1826, the West Point cadets, sick of their eggnog being tragically boring and sober, decided to smuggle in gallons of whiskey from a nearby tavern. Because what is Christmas without a little or a lot of illegal booze? I am reading this from my script, Dan. So, December 25th, the clock ticks over to midnight and it is Christmas Day. The cadet party kicks off and cadets start spiking their eggnog. The vibe is immaculate. There's singing, yelling, and general drunken tomfoolery. A few officers hear the chaos, but assume it's just wholesome Christmas cheer. 2 hours pass, and it's 2 a.m. on Christmas Day. Nope, turns out it's not wholesome at all. Drunken cadets begin breaking furniture, smashing windows, and waving swords around. It takes another hour for Officer Hitchcock to try and shut things down. A drunk cadet throws a punch at Officer Hitchcock, and another is heard yelling, "Get him!" The officer barely escapes, questioning his life choices. Another hour passes, and more officers show up to restore order. The cadets respond by escalating the situation. More destruction, more broken stuff, and someone pulls out a musket. In the next hour, the commandant is now wide awake and very unhappy. He storms into the barracks, catching cadets mid-drunken rebellion, and some try to hide under their beds like guilty toddlers. All it took was one very, very angry commandant to shut the riot down. The sun rises, and West Point Military Academy is absolutely destroyed. 70 plus cadets were in deep, deep shit. This riot resulted in 19 cadets being court-martialed, 30 other cadets getting off with punishment, and the others were let off with a lifetime ban of eggnog. What's interesting about this is during these riots, 4 of the cadets went on to become incredibly important military leaders, proving that even future generals can have an absolutely terrible night if you spike them with gallons of whiskey.
I think most people probably have a bad night.
Yeah, maybe, but that is weird history.
There's a couple of things with that. One is, when do you ever think mixing a place with weapons and people that know how to use them with large, copious amounts of alcohol is a good idea?
I'd turn that around and say, when is it not a good idea?
But also, how do you give somebody a lifetime ban from eggnog? I mean,
don't know.
how are you going to police that?
I don't know. But apparently,
Facing all
a
the
number of-
bars and
a number of them have a lifetime ban from drinking eggnog. Apparently, that's something you could do in 1826. But yeah, 19 cadets being court-martialed because they can't handle their booze.
wow. Have you ever been court-martialed or banned from somewhere?
I haven't.
We've all had bad nights, haven't we? We've all had
We
bad
have.
nights.
We don't all have podcasts where we talk about them, though. Dan, when was the last time you shat on a toilet seat?
No, I never have done, but that. Do you know? Because that was quite early on in your Two Blokes history as well, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I remember listening to it at the time and actually rewinding it because I thought, did he actually say that, or have I misheard it? In my tired days, have I misheard that? No, he definitely said that.
Yeah, he definitely said it, and he definitely did it. He still sticks by it now.
Literally.
Well, you wouldn't sit in it now. But I think all that story, if I remember rightly, came from me saying when I was a student and we were trying to save money, we used to go into the library toilets at Leeds Met Uni, which Tim went to, not me, and nick the toilet roll. We used to get these massive rolls of toilet roll. We go in with an empty backpack and come out with the enormous rolls of toilet roll, so we didn't have to buy loo roll. And then Tim opened up with a shat on a toilet seat. So there you go.
I've never done that. I mean, on the subject of booze, I mean, I've never really been one for a massive drinker, but I remember, the first company I was at, we went for a Christmas night out, and I remember getting a lift there, but I had no idea how I was getting back. So it's always going to start, I was in for a rough night. Anyway, there was, I think it might have been a free bar, at least for a part of the night, and there was drinks, and you go someone else, and there's another drink, and by the end of it, I actually don't know how I got home. I remember waking up the next day, being home, not knowing how. But the other thing was, when I'd got home, I'd clearly projectile vomited everywhere as well, pretty much. But the thing was, so that was a weekend, and I remember on Monday going into work, and everyone was saying, "Oh bloody hell!" We were so rough that night, because there were people sleeping under tables, that they got that drunk. They were saying, but how did you handle it? I said, yeah. I said, you're all lightweights. Of course, I didn't tell them that I'd got home, passed out, didn't know how I got home, and vomit everywhere. I left that bit out. But yeah, they were like, bloody hell, you can really hold your drink, can't you?
I think
Like,
there's
yeah, you're lightweight.
something about work nights out that just the worst kind of drunk. We did a full staff offsite at Oxford University. Don't ask me why we went there, but we stayed in the halls at Oxford University. But there were rumours that one of the bars got broken into. I can assure you, and I'm not joking now, that wasn't me. What I did was I sat on a table full of people that didn't drink. I did drink at the time, and they did a very fancy meal where they budgeted half a bottle of wine for everyone. And it was a table of 6, and me and one other person on the table did drink. And we thought, we can't leave this to go to waste. So I drank a bottle and a half of wine before going to the pub quiz and drinking lots of beer. I don't remember loads of that, but I do remember the next morning when the CEO was walking past the window. I was on the 3rd floor on the opposite side of the courtyard, and I had to be sick out of the window and then hide immediately so he didn't see who it was.
Oh, wow.
Called my mum on the way home after that and told her what happened. And she said, I'm not very proud of you right now.
In that tone.
Something like that.
One more quick story. Again, years ago, this was sort of just turned 20, probably 21. Me and my cousin, in the summer, we'd meet up, we'd go for a drink. And I remember it clearly because we're just going to go down the pub for one quiet drink. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have one, then we say, look, let's have another. And then a couple of mates join. It turns into a few more. And like 5 hours later, we're at one of their house and we're doing drinking games, so we're playing cards and playing drinking games. And one of them was, and at this point we were like drinking whatever I think you had in the house. And there was this really, I think it was wine, I don't know, but whatever it was really horrible tasting, right?
Okay.
And so everybody was pulling out of this game because they hated this. And I think I was, I don't drink a lot and I'm not competitive, but when I'm probably had a little bit of drink, I can get competitive. Anyway, we were playing it, then disintegrated into, rather than it being a card game, it was just whoever picked the highest, right? It was, it's like, and the loser had to win, had to drink. And it was the final, it was like a glass full of this liquid. It was the last of it. And I remember I picked, I think, a king, say. He picked an ace. And so I'm cheering because I thought he'd lost. He starts cheering because he thought I'd lost. We hadn't settled. We had never said what an ace would be, whether it was highs or lows. So we're arguing because neither of us wanted to drink this drink, right? And it got to a point where I was just so fed up. I got the drink. I downed it. I said, right, I'm not having any more of this. I downed it. I said to my cousin, we're going. Let's go now. I just stormed out of the house. I'd left one shoe in the house. And I think I left my jacket because I just got so angry. I got so angry that I had to drink that drink and just go just to end the game.
Wow. I would not put that as to you, Dan. I would never put you against that. When you said we were just playing who can do the highest, I thought you meant say the highest number. I thought you were pissed that you were going 14 and someone goes 15. You go
11-4.
Oh, no, you've won again. Right, Dan, I'm excited because last time you were on, you won jokes. And you said you prepared them earlier today. So let's do some jokes. Are you going to do the trumpet at the end or do you want me to do it?
No, I'd like you to do the trumpet.
Okay. I'll do the trumpet.
That's pretty funny, to be fair. That joke was weak. I misread that as that's the joke of the week.
So, welcome to our joke of the week section where Dan and I are going to tell each other jokes with the sole aim to make the other person laugh. Now, the twist here is when the other person laughs, the joke of the week section is over and that joke is deemed the joke of the week. Dan, are you feeling ready?
I am.
Do you want to go first or second?
Let's go first because I'm worried I might laugh at your first one.
Okay.
So.
Okay, floor's yours.
Right, I've got a real mix of some awful ones and rubbish ones, and I think might be a good one. So let's start with this. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Spell
Well, who?
WHO.
Wow. Really? You nearly got me there, Dan, just because it was so poor. So, my mother was surprised when I told her I was born again. She said, I didn't feel a thing.
Good.
Okay.
Biology based. Joke.
Yep, biology based.
A bird was sleeping in his nest at the top of a tree. Suddenly, he heard a lot of noise and the whole tree starts to shake. He looks down and saw there was a very fat and clumsy elephant climbing a tree. The bird says, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you making so much noise?" The elephant said, "I just want to climb up there and eat some pears." The bird said, "There aren't any pears here, you stupid elephant. This is a pine tree." The elephant said, "I know, I've bought my own pears."
I really wanted that to be funny. I enjoyed the imagery. Okay, we'll move on. Dan, I've spent a lot of time and effort childproofing my house. The bloody kid still gets in.
Bit mean, that one.
It is mean. I don't feel good about that one.
I went to the doctor today and I told him I broke my arm in 2 places. He just said to stop going to those places.
Good one. Yeah. That was funny. If athletes get athlete's foot, what do astronauts get? Mistletoe.
Oh, I like that.
Mm.
I like that.
I've gone for
Yeah,
some
that's a
quite
good one.
light jokes, but no, I might live to regret it.
This is a slightly long one.
Okay.
But 3 couples are trying to get married at the same church. There's a young couple, a middle-aged couple, and an elderly couple. They all meet with the priest to discuss when they can get married. The priest says, "If you want to get married in my church, you must all go 1 month without having sex." So 1 month later, the couples return and they talk to the priest. So he asks the elderly couple, "Have you completed the month without sex?" They said, "Yep, it's easy. Not a problem for us." The priest then turns to the middle-aged couple and he says, "How about you?" And they said, "It was hard, but we didn't have sex for the whole month." And he goes, "Very good." Turns to the young couple and they say, "No, we couldn't do it." And the priest says, "Tell me why." The man says, "Well, my girlfriend had a can of corn in her hand. She dropped it. She bent over to pick it up, and that's when it happened." So the priest then says, "Right, you two, you're not welcome in my church." The man says, "Well, we're not welcome in the supermarket either."
Good. Yeah, it's good. I'll remember that one. I like a long joke with a really snappy punchline. Dan, what do you call a chicken who crosses the road, rolls in mud, and then crosses back over again?
No idea.
Dirty double crosser.
Why did I laugh at that? Why
Well,
did I laugh?
hey.
I'm sorry, listeners, but
Well,
I
it's
think it was
happened
the
now.
accent.
That's pretty funny, to be fair. That joke was weak. I misread that as that's the joke of the week.
So, Dan, the joke of the week was, what do you call a chicken who crosses the road, rolls in mud, and then crosses back again? A dirty double crosser.
It's a voice. I think that should be banned.
Is it? Do you want any more of my jokes? I can give you some more.
Yeah.
I've got one that I really like. If you've got any more that you want to give, Dan, you're more than welcome.
I can say them because, I thought the priest and the sex joke was going to do it, but I've got a few.
It was close.
So I've got I like this one, but this says a lot about me. I have an inferiority complex, but it's not a very good one.
I think we've had that one on the show before.
Have you?
Yeah. It's a good one, though. It is good.
There's just 2 more. And they're making me laugh. I got a new pen. It can write underwater. It can write other words too.
That's good. That would have won. That's good.
and I gave a handyman a to-do list, but he only did jobs 1, 3, and 5. Turns out he only does odd jobs.
I like it. Yeah, they were good set of jokes, Dan. My one was there's a couple actually. One was one that Alex sent me. It's cool trick, Jesus, but check it out. I can turn water into piss. That's one. And then the other one is I read that someone in New York gets stabbed every 52 seconds. Poor guy.
I think you've had that as
Right.
number one fan. I think you've had that. Yeah.
Well, and then I hope I die peacefully in my sleep like my mother, not screaming like her passengers.
I was
So,
I was getting ready. I was thinking if we're going to struggle, I was going to say I was going to pull out the bucket joke, but
but the bucket joke works on Tim. He's the weak-minded boy that laughs at the bucket joke. He won't mind me taking the piss out of him constantly on this. Don't worry. So Dan, you said you brought a story. You said you brought something you wanted to talk about.
yeah. Well, there was a couple of stories, but I'm going to settle on this one. It's not like weird or anything like that, but I just wanted you to put yourself in this position and also ask a
Okay.
question around it. So, and I think I might even have talked about this guy on one of my episodes, but there's a man who believes he accidentally lost a Bitcoin fortune in a council rubbish tip, but he's now looking at the possibility of buying the landfill site itself before it shuts. So, James Howells from Newport, South Wales, claimed his ex-girlfriend mistakenly threw out a hard drive containing thousands of Bitcoins in 2013. The 39-year-old IT worker now believes they're worth more than £600 million, and he's been trying to locate them ever since. Newport City Council are planning to close and cap the site in 25-26 financial years, so that would mean he's got no chance of finding it. But he's now looking, he did bring a case, but a judge dismissed a legal case to force the council to allow him to search the site or award him £495 million in compensation. So, yeah, at the moment, he's now looking at, can he buy it?
So I think you have had this on your show because it's familiar in your voice, but Tim has also told me about this guy. So I think he must be pretty certain that it got thrown away to buy that. But I believe that he's also approached the council and said, "I'll give you 30 million quid if I find it."
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
5%. How generous!
got so many questions around this. I mean, landfill sites, and he reckons it's 80 to 90% full. So bear that in mind. How are you going to find that? How do you even search for it?
Do you know what though? For 600 million quid, I think I'd trawl through the shit to find it.
Just
I think I
imagine all the
would.
hard drives you find and what could be on them as well, though. That's the thing. I
No
mean,
worse than what's on. Never mind.
yeah, cut that. No, but seriously, how do you search for it? How do you know it's there? How do you know it hasn't been destroyed? It's
Yeah.
also, how do you live with the fact that you've potentially got £600 million in there?
Well, I've said on this show before, when Bitcoin first became popular, I remember seeing signs in Computer Exchange saying, "We accept Bitcoin as payment." And I
Hmm.
just have this really funny thought that someone has paid for a secondhand Shrek DVD with Bitcoin that's now worth, I think one Bitcoin is worth something like 65,000 pounds. So it better be the best bloody copy of Shrek you've ever seen. There's a story of someone who you've probably, I think you might have covered this in your episode. Someone who paid for 2 pizzas with Bitcoin, and they were on national American news because they had paid for 2 margarita pizzas with something that was now worth over $100,000.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Well, at the time it made sense." And I think that is the crux of it, and that is why I still think cryptocurrency is a complete waste of time, because it fluctuates and in ways that you have no idea and can't track,
Mm.
can't even pretend to understand. It's all about demand. And if you've got Bitcoin or you've got, is it Ethereum, the other one that's popular?
Yeah, yeah.
Then you're pretty okay. Like, it's not going to go mad, but it can still drop dramatically. But then there's other ones like Tim's dopey Dogecoin that went to like 0 when he paid for it. He was lucky and managed to get it out at a small profit, but that took 5 years. And it was the same amount he would have got in interest if it was in a savings account.
Yeah, I just think, because the reason this story came up again, and I wouldn't have featured this, but is about him trying to buy it. But do you not think like Netflix or someone is missing out here? Do you not think there's a documentary here where they should partner up? They should
do a documentary on absolutely everything else. So
yeah.
it's I think it was years ago that it was thrown out. So is it not going to be like terribly water damaged and utterly useless?
I mean, that's what you'd think in a landfill site,
In
with
Wales, yeah.
elements. Yeah. Yeah, I just think he's probably so desperate. But that's why I think, there could be sponsorship deals. I think who could partner up with him and yeah, make some theatre out of this.
Who would you think is the sponsor for this ludicrous Bitcoin search?
Ooh.
It's someone who would have to be willing to sponsor ridiculous shit like Tesla.
I was thinking boring, like it's got to be an insurance company, insure your valuables.
Yeah, that is it. That's a good one. Yeah,
or something, cash. It would be like money. Money should sponsor it. You wouldn't get this with cold hard cash.
Yeah.
But
your
I did have a
mattress is much
question.
easier to find in a dump than a hard drive.
Yeah, I did have a question for you though. Not saying it's a hard drive worth 600 million, but have you ever lost something that you turned a house over for? Or
I don't know where my bank card is. Does that count? So I've got. Hold on. I've got this one here, and this is what I thought was my bank card, but this is actually my old one because it expired last year. So it's utterly useless. So I went to get my barber is very above board and doesn't accept card. He only takes cash for no suspicious reasons whatsoever. So I went to go and get cash to get a haircut today. And I was like, shit, that card's totally useless. So I had to ask my wife very nicely if I could take some money out of her account and pay her back. But Dan, I don't think I've ever told it on this podcast. If ever you talk to Chris, so Chris who's in the Discord, he will tell you how notoriously shit I am at not losing bank cards, to the point where my record of losing a bank card is probably less than a second from when I had first had it. And it was because I lost a bank card, however it was. I knew the score by now. They probably knew me first name basis at the bank I was at. And they sent me this card. And I was like, right, I've got my mail. I'm going to go to work. I'll take it out of the thing. And when I opened it too quickly and the glue wasn't on the back of the card. So I opened the letter, the card fell out and immediately fell down a drain. And I had to call them on the way to work. Like, they were like, you don't need to call this number to activate this card. And I was like, well, you're never going to believe this. So, yeah, less than a second I had that card before I had to cancel it again. But that, I think, I don't lose loads of stuff. I'm not the most organised person, but I live in organised chaos. But bank cards I'm fucking terrible with. What about you? What's something like that you've lost?
Nothing of note or value, but about a year ago now, I lost an earbud. So they're not, AirPods or anything like that. They were just generic off Amazon. And I woke up and I couldn't find one. Like, you open up the little box and it wasn't there. And we've searched house. Now I live in a small house. We actually downsized a few years ago, so it's not like I live in a mansion or anything.
It was
I
the
searched
mansion
the West
you
Wing.
downsized from, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, I searched the West Wing. It wasn't, no, but we've looked everywhere. Me and my wife have looked everywhere, and it's not. So I bought another set because, like I said, they were cheap. So it's not the value. The thing that's annoying the hell out of me is, where can this be? I know it's on the property. I didn't lose it out. I didn't lose it on a walk. I didn't lose it in the car. It's somewhere here, but I just can't find it.
One day you'll find it and you'll be like, you little shit.
Yeah. But just one quick final thing. Sorry, there was a funny story. Sunday I was in London with a friend of mine, Dan S., who's a frequent voice on the show of mine. And I don't think he'd clocked that. So I've got two pairs of glasses. I've got the long distance and the reading glasses. So when I'm traveling, I'll have the long distance ones on. But when we're in an event, I'll put the reading ones on. I'm going around this thing, and I thought I'd lost my other pair. He hadn't seen me change them. I'm like, up in my pocket, I was thinking, I've got my phone, I've got my wallet. I was missing my glasses. I think, shit, I've lost a pair of glasses. They cost, it's not that they're designer ones, but they cost a fortune.
Yeah.
And so Dan goes, "You all right?" And I said, "I've lost my glasses." And he looks at me, he goes, "They're on your face." And I went, "No, not those ones."
You must have lost a pair of glasses only to find them on your head or something. I've done that all the time.
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that before. I'm thinking, where are my glasses? But yeah, no, I thought they'd fallen out, or I'd left them on a counter somewhere.
Well, do you know, I did, while you were talking, remember something I had lost, which is terrible that I would forget, but I'd lost my wedding ring before.
Wow.
We went swimming with Jack. Sorry, I keep doing this. I need to cut it out. I'm sure I've said his name before. But regardless, we went swimming with my son, and our local pool is quite a cool one. They've got wave machine, they've got rapids, they've got slides. I took him in the rapids. I was wearing my wedding ring, and my wedding ring isn't it's not tight at all.
Mm.
And I took him out, and then we got into the main pool. I was like, shit, I can't find my wedding ring. And I thought, I've definitely lost it in the rapids. So I'm there panicking because I can't find my wedding ring, The pool, the lifeguards were like, here's some goggles, go and have a look. So I'm there for ages and must have looked like an absolute nutter, wearing goggles, going round the rapids, round and round and round, searching all the corners for this. And I just kind of got to the point where I was like, it must have gone into a filter. I'm never going to get that back. And I was really upset about it. And about a week and a half later, I got a call from the pool, and they were like, did you lose a wedding ring? And I was like, oh my God, have you found it? And they said, yeah, we've got it here. Someone just found it by the side of the pool.
Wow.
It's like,
wow.
By the side of the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even in the pool. And it took them a week and a half. Either they had it for ages and just didn't call me, or everyone in there where I live is blind. Right, Dan, we're going to leave it. We're going to keep it short and sweet this week. You've been an absolute treat to have on. Thank you so much for filling in Tim's incredibly sizable shoes. You filled them very, very well. But it would be totally awful of me not to give you a couple of minutes now just to plug the wonderful Casting Views, where people can find you and what they can expect if they tune in every Sunday.
Firstly, thank you for having me on. It's been brilliant. I do love this show. Yep, I host Casting Views. It's a general topic podcast every Sunday. You can find me on all the podcast platforms. It's a bit of everything, really. One week I might be having Joey on and Alex. We might be doing the origin of phrases. I've discussed some semi-serious topics like AI and like advances in medical science. I do a lot of funny ones like bizarre laws, bizarre crimes, I think, which both featured you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a couple of sub-series where it's more like an interview type thing, where it's a mind wipe, where I challenge people to come up with things they'd love to relive again for the first time, and a dinner party episode. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything. And while I'm here, also, I just want to say thank you to you, because you've done a lot of the thumbnails again recently, and it's always a joy when they pop through on the WhatsApp to see. I say, Joey, I'm doing an episode on I don't know, like amazing coincidences or something. And Joe's like, I'm on it. And I said, but that's all I've said. And then I just get some random picture.
The
So
best
thank
one,
you.
I think, my favourite one I've ever made for you is still your face on Stone Cold Steve Austin's body. It just
That's not
works
out
so
yet.
well.
That's
It just
not got
works
out.
so.
And
I didn't
my
think that was
wife
an
was very
episode.
happy with that one.
I didn't think that was for an episode. I just thought that was for fun, Dan.
Yeah, I didn't even ask you, did I? Yeah.
No, you didn't. No.
No, the Oasis one. I love the Oasis one you did when I had Griffin on. So yeah.
You and Griffin from Reboot Deboot. Well, let's use Griffin as our shout out of the week. You should also listen to Reboot Deboot on Spotify, where you can find episodes with Dan. I think that one's exclusive to Patreon, coming out soon, right? Am I not allowed to say that? I don't know.
No, I think that's fine. No, yeah. So he's been on my show a few times, but yeah, I'm doing one with him, which will be on Patreon. But yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Nice. Well, thanks again, Dan. Anything you want to say to our listeners?
No. Actually, that sounds really rude. I mean, yes, no, go.
I mean, take that, you bastards.
I was literally going to say it. I was going to say, take that, you bastards.
You bastards. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Hello, post-credits listeners. Did you think we'd forgotten to give the pub quiz answer this week? Really? Well, yes, we did actually. But here we are, and Joey has charged me more money to come and record this little extra bit here to give you the answer. And here it is. Olive brine. Olive brine is what is added to a martini to make it dirty.